Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over Live. You regular viewers of the show know that we occasionally bring you musical performances or interviews from St. Malachy's, the Actors Chapel in the heart of New York's theater district. But we've never looked at the amazing history and the ongoing mission of the church itself. Tonight, we rectify that. As the longtime pastor, Father Richard Baker, who's run St. Malachy's since 2003, moves on to a new assignment, here's a look at the important work and contribution of the little parish that's been getting standing ovations for decades. It's a half hour before curtain on Broadway. Actors race to their stage doors, patrons press into theaters to claim their tickets, and in the heart of the theater district on 49th Street, the bells of St. Malachy's, the Actors Chapel, fill the Great White Way. The bells were installed by the then pastor, Father George Moore, in the 1970s, at a time when these streets were filled with drug dealers and prostitutes. Father Richard Baker is the current pastor of St. Malachy's.
Well, Father Moore put a carillon in and rang that as a sign of who we are as the Actors Chapel. But he rang those bells to tell the prostitutes, the drug dealers, and everybody, we're staying, you're going. The bells were the sound of revival for Father Moore. They had died for many years after he had died. I restored, the first thing I got here was to restore the bells so that they would sing again.
This church, better known as the Actors Chapel, has been singing for more than a century. The only Catholic church in the middle of New York's theater district, it has become a spiritual refuge for stagehands, actors, musicians, technicians, and visitors alike.
It is amazing when you come in here and you've had that experience, where you come in and you meet so-and-so who's about to open up a show, and she comes and says, I won't say her name, I've come to speak to my Jewish sister. And she lights candles, to those who, like a Mario Lopez, who is a good friend of ours and doesn't mind me saying his name, who comes and has his devotion to our Lord and worship with us. It's a beautiful thing. But remember, they are the small part of the acting community. The 96% of those that may not have their names out are as equally strong and powerful, and their witness is as amazing as those that everybody would like to see with the names.
Enrique Segura has been in The Lion King on Broadway for more than a decade. A St. Malachy's parishioner, he appreciates the role the church plays in the community.
There's a lot of different people in the theater, a lot of people of different faiths, and the fact that there is a Catholic-based church organization that not only caters but supports the Catholic community, who are performers, who are artists, who are musicians, who are technicians. It's not only actors, it's everyone in show business here in the heart of New York on Broadway.
Since the 1920s, St. Malachy's has been the spiritual home to some of the great luminaries of the past. Rosalind Russell, Bob and Dolores Hope, Danny Thomas, George M. Cohan, Perry Como, Chita Rivera, and Antonio Banderas all worshipped at the Actors Chapel. Tell me about the history of this place. Jimmy Durante was a altar boy here, Don Amici. I mean, it has a storied history. Joan Crawford and Douglas Fairbanks were married here. Tell me about that connection to this golden age, if you will, of theater and screen.
Well, I think, that golden age was a time when those who were Catholic saw, wow, there's something special for us. Mm-hmm. This is our church. And so no matter where they lived, they would come here for their sacraments. Even if they weren't Catholic, they knew they could come here. And so we even have prominent Jewish actors and musicians that made a special home and connection here. And I think that's the beauty of Catholicism. And I think that that's hopefully what we're communicating today, that this is yours, and we have gone that extra mile to say we're here for you, even though this is out of the ordinary.
The arts community has long been a part of the mission at St. Malachy's. There's a side chapel dedicated to St. Genesius, the patron saint of actors, St. Vitus, the patron saint of dancers, and St. Cecilia, the patron saint of music. And plans are underway to erect a shrine to Archbishop Fulton Sheen. a TV pioneer on the road to sainthood.
He's the only priest with an Emmy, and his family has agreed to allow us to have the Emmy here on display in a shrine that we're erecting to him. So anybody out there who wants to help us with that, please.
Everyone brings their talents to St. Malachy's, including the pastor. His musical training led Father Baker to revive the choir at St. Malachy's, install an historic organ, and institute regular music recitals that draw new visitors to the church.
We do not use music here for music's sake. We use it because of its power. And that's the greatest failure in worship across the board, is that we use it because it sounds nice to our ear. It sounds nice, yes, of course, that's the secondary. But what's first and foremost is here that we use music so that the word can be more profoundly proclaimed, and that the truth that is contained in that word will hopefully be more profoundly experienced.
The St. Malachy's experience extends long into the night, particularly Saturday nights for those in the theater community. It's 10:30. The final curtain has fallen on most of the Broadway shows. Saturday is a two-show day for those on Broadway. And then on Sunday, a matinee awaits. As many of his peers head home or to a late dinner, Enrique runs to catch the 11 p.m. Mass at the Actors Chapel.
As a performer, we do 8 shows a week, and to be completely honest, Sunday morning is a little difficult. So what ends up happening a lot of times is you fluff off. You go, you know what? I'm not going to go this morning. I'll go next morning. And before you know it, 6 months go by and you don't go to church. So what St. Malachy's has provided here for people like me in a crazy schedule is not only is there Mass on Saturday night at 11 o'clock, there's also one on Saturday between shows at 5:30, and of course several Masses on Sunday. And it works out great for the people who are in show business, because to be honest with you, at that point there's really no excuse not to go to Mass.
For decades, there was no late Mass at St. Malachy's. Father Baker revived the tradition.
It was the stagehands that came to me specifically and said, can we have our midnight Mass back? And so they were like, you know, realistically, really 11 p.m. would really work better. Is that okay? And I said, sure, if that be God's will, and let's do it. And the first Saturday we had it, I thought, okay, maybe those 5 would be here. Well, we had about 65 people the first Mass, and it's been growing and growing, actually. I'm quite amazed that it's become popular among the parishioners as well as the theatrical community.
The late night Mass is a gift to many performers, like Luke Manikas. He's not only in Pippin on Broadway, but an altar server at St. Malachy's.
Since I have such a long commute from where I live in New Jersey, it's hard, like I can wake up early, but since it's a weekend, I don't want to wake up early on Sundays. So after the show, we just come to St. Malachy's, have church, and leave.
As the crowds of Broadway disperse, in a small church on 49th Street, one audience remains, to hear words that shall not pass and to receive the communion of saints. It may not burn as garishly as the marquees of Broadway, but the light and hope spread by St. Malachy's where it is needed most is obvious.
We're right here in the middle of it all. As I just look at my front yard, it's chaos. And the center of the world. It's the crossroads of the world.
A special thanks to Father Baker and his staff for their hospitality over many years.